Hey folks, Kevin the Editor here. The Polk County Chamber of Commerce hosted the second and final night of candidate forums on Thursday, April 25th, 2024 at the Rockmart Theater. The first of several videos from the event includes a question and answer session for coroner candidate Nathan Womack and incumbent coroner Norman Smith. Of note, Womack answered questions alone on Tuesday evening as Smith was unable to attend due to a mandatory training earlier in the week out of town. Polk Today is making this and the rest of the video from the candidate forum sessions available free for all to watch, so check out additional coverage on polktoday.com. Grab a beverage, get comfortable, and feel free to pause to take a break if needed. P.S. I did try to jack up the audio a bit on this one and use the source closer to the stage in hopes it would come out better this go round. Enough stalling, let's jump in, folks.
Good evening and welcome to the Polk County Chamber of Commerce Candidate Forum. I'm Dan Devils, past chair of the Polk County Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, along with Mary Ann Wood, Executive Director of the Polk County Chamber of Commerce. And we are thrilled to have each and every one of you here tonight as we come together to engage in meaningful dialogue about the future of our county. To our esteemed candidates, thank you for your dedication to public service and for stepping forward to offer your leadership. You've already demonstrated your commitment to the well-being of our community, and we're grateful. To our valued audience members, thank you for joining us and for your interest in the democratic process. Your participation is crucial in shaping the future. The Polk County Elections Office has provided some grab-and-go informational cards in the lobby should you need general voter information, and as a reminder, this is for the May 21st primary election. The ground rules are as follows. All participants, including candidates, moderators, and audience members, must conduct themselves with respect and civility at all times. Candidates must adhere to 2 minutes or less for the responses to questions. This is to ensure fairness and efficiency. There will be a yellow light to signal 1 minute is remaining and a red light to signal the conclusion of your time. Critiques of ideas and policies are welcomed. However, personal attacks, insults, or derogatory remarks against other candidates or individuals will not be tolerated. Responses should remain focused on issues relevant to the role or office being sought. Candidates should provide accurate and truthful information to the best of their knowledge. The Polk County Chamber of Commerce is proud to host this event as a nonpartisan organization. The Polk County Chamber of Commerce does not endorse nor favor any candidate running for any office. The forum dates were selected without input from any candidate, and all candidates were given today's questions yesterday evening via email. Tonight includes questions submitted after the April 23rd candidate forum. Thank you to the Rockmart Theater for hosting the April 25th candidate forum, and to the Cedartown Performing Arts Center for hosting the April 23rd candidate forum. Tonight's questions will provide a general overview on our candidates' visions for our community. So we will go ahead and get started, and we will begin tonight with our county coroner candidates, and this includes incumbent Norman Smith and Nathan Womack. Welcome to both of you. Glad to have you with us tonight. Mr. Smith, we'll begin with you. Can you tell us what motivated you to run for county coroner?
Sure. When the previous coroner, when he decided to run for probate judge, that meant that he couldn't run for re-election as coroner. So this office was being vacated. After much prayerful consideration, with my years of service to the community, my love for Polk County and its residents, I stepped forward and submitted my name as candidate for Polk County coroner. Much to my surprise, I've received a tremendous amount of encouragement and support throughout the community. It's been my goal that the citizens of Polk County would be met with professionalism, integrity, and compassion should they ever experience a sudden and unexpected loss of a loved one.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Womack, same question. What motivated you to run for county coroner?
So again, just to kind of reiterate a few things I said Tuesday night, of course I have a strong, deep love for Polk County, and I have a strong, deep love for Polk County families. So one key component to the word compassion is to be able to not only recognize when someone is hurting, but to be able to find avenues to be able to help them. So being able to serve others above myself is one motivating factor. To bounce off of that directly to the coroner's office, I have a strong passion and a respect for the coroner's office as a whole, and I have a large drive to be able to take that to the farthest reaches of the imagination, to be able to give the coroner's office avenues of success never before seen in Polk County. Coroner's office in Polk County goes back for decades to the written records, and it would be my drive and motivation would be to bring all of my experience and all of my compassion for people together to bring some sort of unification, to bring the coroner's office itself to the farthest reaches that it could possibly be inside this county that has never been seen before. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you both, and we will rotate who answers these questions first. So, Mr. Womack, this question will go to you first. What qualifications and experience do you possess that make you a suitable candidate?
Right, so I do have a bachelor's degree in public administration and political science. So I do have, a formal educational background. I was valedictorian of arguably one of the best mortuary schools in the country. So I do have, a lot of significant experience educationally, but also practically. I am a licensed funeral director. Went through all of the Georgia rules and laws to become fully licensed. I've been in funeral service for approaching 10 years now. I had prior management of a corporate funeral home. I currently am a manager of a locally owned family business funeral home. And prior to that, several years back, I did have a brief experience as a deputy coroner. I was appointed, went through the training program, got certified, and after a short while there, I was named Chief Deputy Coroner, and that area taught me a completely different amount of respect for death care, and it showed me a completely different side of death care in the way that we approach grieving families, and that's probably the most significant amount of experience that I have is dealing with grieving families, whether it's a traumatic sudden death or if it's one that they have seen coming for a long time. There's a whole different spectrum of the way people process grief, and I have a strong propensity to help people deal with their grief and work with those families in need. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, I'll repeat that question. What qualifications and experience do you possess that make you a suitable candidate?
I spent the entirety of my career in public service. Beginning in 1991, I started my career as a volunteer firefighter here in Polk County. Then in 1994, I became certified as a firefighter EMT for the City of Seegerstown Fire Department. There I served a 14-year career. Through these opportunities, I was given hands-on experience and classroom trainings for all types of crisis management, study of different types of injuries, working with families in crisis. In 1999, while still working in the fire service, I was given the opportunity to begin a career in funeral service. There, I was able to combine my real-world experience and knowledge with the passion of serving families that have experienced losses. I later went on in 2009 to become a licensed funeral director and embalmer. In 2017, I proudly became the owner and operator of Smith & Miller Funeral Home in Seegerstown. We've been able to serve several families in this community throughout our time. And while funeral service is not the only area I have experience in, it certainly has given me the experience in navigating the dynamics of families who have experienced loss. I've currently been serving as coroner since August of 2020. This completing many hours of death scenes investigation training, along with overseeing hundreds of deaths involving our office within our jurisdiction.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. This question will go to you first. how do you plan to ensure accurate and thorough investigations into deaths within the jurisdiction?
Over the tenure as coroner, I've developed a great working relationship with local and statewide agencies. I believe it's crucial to work together in investigations to produce the most thorough and accurate investigations. I've ensured that individuals hired as deputy coroners are those who are well trained and have years of beneficial experience to equip and guide them through our situations. My current team now has a total of over 100 years of combined experience. Also, during my time as coroner, I've been able to convert Polk County to an electronic reporting system called CODEMS. This allows for better communication with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's Medical Examiner's Office. There, the Medical Examiner's Office can view our scene photos, our coroner reports instantly. These reports are cloud-based. They're readily accessible anytime for coroners and the Medical Examiner's Office. Myself, along with the Board of Commissioners, have created a plan to relocate and enlarge the county morgue. This project should be completed next year. This will allow us a larger area to secure and examine the bodies when needed. I've made it my practice to listen more than I speak when entering situations. I frequently see that this is a skill that I've learned and put into practice over the years. This allows me to take in all the evidence around me, fully listen, and hear the people around me. All these things really work together to create a well-rounded and equipped coroner's office that uses factual information to determine unbiased cause and manner of death for an individual.
Thank you, Mr. Smith and Mr. Womack. I'll repeat the question. How do you plan to ensure accurate and thorough investigations into deaths within the jurisdiction?
Right, so to me, coroners are agents of truth, so everything should be dealt in facts, and we should try to stray from conjectures or trivial opinions. So I definitely see that online reporting systems are significant. There are several different media out there for reporting. I think that definitely the coroner's office is the apex of several triangles. There's the investigator, coroner, medical examiner triangle. There's investigator, coroner, family triangle. The list goes on and on. I think definitely documentation, reporting, make sure that everything is secured and that all scenes are monitored at all times. And of course, the decedent is your scene. I think that that's definitely documentation is a huge part of that. Making sure everything's documented, everybody that is present at the scene, everyone that's spoken to, everybody that's spoken with, everyone you received a statement from, contact information, so on, ad infinitum, to whatever is associated with the scene. Every scene is different. So definitely reporting, crime scene reporting, photographs, everything should be maintained in an objective manner that is easily accessible. Everything should be, of course, documented with the family, start to finish, from the time of arrival to the time of departure. Of course, like Mr. Smith said, CODEMS, there's other means of reporting systems. There's MDI, there's several other factors out there that would allow you to report accurately. Make sure everything is also in tandem with law enforcement. Law enforcement is a major function here, and I think that that's definitely something working in tandem to ensure everything is crisp, clean, start to finish. Thank you.
Thank you both. Mr. Womack, this next question will be addressed to you first. How will you prioritize the needs of families and communities affected by sudden or unexpected deaths?
Right. I can't say this enough. Families are first, always first and foremost. There would really be no necessary reason to coordinate a lot of the functions of this office without families prioritized first. And I think that to begin, communication, I'll say it again, communication. Start to finish. Make sure the family is well communicated with and knows every single step that you're doing throughout the entire process. Several families have never had to experience the coroner's office, and I think a lot of those families need guidance and direction. So prioritizing their needs by giving them an outlet to be able to correspond with them, let them know every single thing that's going on so no one is left in the dark to face it on their own or figure things out. Open up that line of communication back to you as well. Let the family contact you with any questions. Be active and engaging with those families, and of course, communicate with them through the entire process. What the medical examiner's office is for, why they're going to the medical examiner, all the way down to releasing to the funeral home for disposition. Every single thing needs to be communicated. Beyond that, I would love to be able to instate a program never before seen in Polk County, which is a method of a follow-up program with these families to be able to guide them and help them after the fact. Sort of like being able to reach out to them and get them guidance from people in the healthcare community, mental health care community. Critical incident debriefing is a large part. I've spoken with some people in that area to be able to reach out to have mental health guidance to some of these families and experiencing complicated grief and unresolved grief. And starting a program like that, I think, would be very beneficial, because each family here in this county is important to me. And these folks are hurting in a way that no one else can understand. And I think it's important for someone to be able to help guide them through that hurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'll repeat the question. How will you prioritize the needs of families and communities affected by sudden or unexpected deaths?
Over the years, I've built relationships with the school counselors and principals anytime we've dealt with the loss of a school-aged child. I've often called upon the Polk County chaplains to offer support for families and first responders while we are busy investigating. As coroner, I served as the liaison of families, explaining the results of the autopsy report. I've always been available for the families affected with the sudden loss by providing them with my cell phone number. I have given support materials for families looking for grief counseling groups. I'm constantly following up on autopsy reports so our office can quickly sign out the death certificates as soon as possible for the families. And we stay in direct communication with families while their loved one is in our care.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'll address this question to you first. How do you plan to stay informed about developments in best practices in death investigation?
We're required by law to continue our education every year. In fact, I missed the first candidate forum this week due to being away for training. Myself and all deputy coroners are members of the Georgia Coroners Association, where we can network with coroners throughout the state and keep up to date with any new developments or laws pertaining to the coroners or death investigations. Our training is governed by the Georgia Public Safety Training Center and the Georgia Coroners Association. Our instructors are highly trained and seasoned death investigators. We had, just recently at my training class, we've had instructors from the departments like Child Fatality, Department of Public Health, LifeLink organ donations, several death scene investigators throughout the state, each who specialize in certain areas of deaths. We even had someone come in and speak with us about courtroom testimony. We had a medical examiner from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to come in and actually talk directly to us and explain things during our session this week.
Thank you, Mr. Womack. I'll repeat the question. How do you plan to stay informed about developments and best practices in death investigation?
Right, so you can't have enough training in any manner of any professional capacity anyone can have, and the coroner's office is no exception. I would love to be able to see the organization exceed the minimum state guidelines. There would be, in my mind, I would love to see some sort of accreditation method with the coroner's office. And again, there are several agencies out there to become accredited. The entire agency is governed by the accreditation, keeps everything up to date with the most recent death investigation methods, procedures, scene investigation, all the way down to how to communicate between person to person. Beyond that, I would also like to see certification for the coroner's office for individuals in the coroner's office. These methods are, for one organization in particular, the American Board of Medical Legal Death Investigators. There are other systems to be able to facilitate training and knowledge and understanding within the coroner's office that exceeds the bare minimum state guidelines accepted by the state of Georgia. And these are the same sorts of accreditation and certification boards that certify the medical examiner's offices in the counties that have medical examiner systems. These go far deeper into the training mechanisms, and they are able to better facilitate examination to be able to pass exams to make sure everything is held in the utmost highest regard. And also, I would love to be able to see a meeting of the coroner's office with all law enforcement agencies to have a quarterly meeting every year, to have an aggressive committee in place to deal with any and all cases that have been overseen by the coroner's office every single quarter, to sit down and go over every single investigation, what's worked, what has not worked, what can we do better, to be able to make sure all agencies within the county are all on the same page with all investigation protocol and all standard operating procedures. Thank you.
This will be our final question for the two of you. Mr. Womack, we'll begin with you. Should all funeral homes be entitled to handle indigent county cremations instead of one single funeral home?
I really don't know what system is in place currently, but I would be on board with being able to find some median way to be able to incorporate all funeral homes handling disposition, or to be able to bid it out to save the county money on whatever the less expensive route for whatever the cremation procedures would be for the county to be able to handle indigent cremation cases throughout the whole entire county. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, same question. Should all funeral homes be entitled to handle indigent county cremations instead of one single funeral home?
Yes. I believe that all funeral homes should be able to handle the indigent cremations. In fact, they're able to do so now. All the family or the funeral home needs to do is to submit proper paperwork to the county clerk for approval. These funds can be even be paid out to an out-of-town funeral home, as long as they apply properly for the funds. Shortly after being elected as coroner, I worked with county officials to update the indigent funding. We created an application asking certain information that established guidelines and qualifications. The county actually agreed to raise the indigent funding from $200 to now $400. All families served by the coroner's office is given a card, and on that card, the back of the card, every funeral home in Polk County is listed in an alphabetical order, so they may select a funeral home of their own choosing. If the families meet the requirements for the indigent funding to fund the cremation of their loved one, the approved funeral home simply submit the paperwork, and then the funeral home will receive the allotted funds set forth by the county. This opportunity is available to all funeral homes at this time.
Thank you both for your participation tonight. These are our candidates for County Coroner Norman Smith and Nathan Womack. Next, we will...
Okay, that wraps up this session of the candidate forum for the coroner's office, featuring candidate Nathan Womack and incumbent coroner Norman Smith. Don't forget, there are other videos in this series you can check out free of charge on polktoday.com. I'm Kevin, the editor. Thanks for watching. Oh, and don't forget to vote.